All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Bungo Stray Dogs, Dead Apple.
All right.
Movie.
Yeah, we're watching a movie for Bungo Stray Dogs.
Yes.
Now, there seemed to be some stuff that could be foreshadowing for this movie at the end of season 2.
Yeah, Dostoevsky.
Right. Yeah. But we'll have to see here because having a movie in between seasons can sometimes be a thing where you can lower the stakes generally because it might not spill over into other stuff. But I have been told that this is canon, so there could be some stuff where this is just an arc in the same way that like the Made in Abyss movie kind of covers like a specific portion of the story,
right?
And then they move on. So it is a self-contained narrative, but it's still it's
still part of the whole
story of the whole bit. Yeah. But then after this, we'll be going straight into season 3.
Yep.
So, okay. Maybe a little bit of a teaser bit because, season 2 had a very unique structure in that the first...
Yes, the Otasaku arc.
The first bit of it was a different arc, really, entirely from the rest of it to kind of set up the structure for a bit of the conflict.
Yeah, so if we wanted to get, like, a connection to who Dostoevsky is in this world and, like, how he's connected to the other characters, the ADA, things like that...
Yeah.
This movie could go into it.
Yeah, and stuff maybe that'll focus a bit on the conflicts outside of the initial kind of ADA, Port Mafia, kind of local conflicts as well.
Take it to, like, the global scale.
Yeah, exactly.
That could be fun.
So, yeah, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. All right, what a spectacle.
Yeah.
We went all off and just had all these abilities get utilized in crazy, ridiculous ways. And at the end of it,
Did it make sense?
Did it make sense?
No,
not at all. But it was a ridiculously fun romp of an experience because Atsushi, Dazai, Kyoka, Kutagawa, characters that we care about are at the core of this whole thing.
Yep, and they're being real cool for the majority of the story.
Yeah, and while you could very easily tell that this was an anime movie kind of story, there are definitely things that I feel like were like the kinds of things that were like hard canon, and then the things that were there to make the movie conflict happen. Like the idea that Dostoevsky is still out there doing his thing, and he will probably be a carryover character into season 3. It's more of a setup for him, whereas the guy with the
literally
dragon,
don't even know his name.
Yeah,
like,
don't even remember his name. Don't even care about him.
Nope.
I'm sorry. Like the whole thing with the idea of all three of them coming together to kind of debate about the idea of life and where it's worth meeting. I feel like that was a missed opportunity for things to slow down in the movie.
Yes.
And take almost entirely the idea of this very, very tread upon plot, which is the heroes fight their doppelgangers, but there's literally no stakes because they're their doppelgangers.
Yep.
So that could have been completely removed and have it be the idea that their abilities are taken. They don't have to fight them, but it's the idea that they all need to come together and utilize their creative brains, basically, to figure out a way to overcome some kind of a godlike being that's driving all the abilities together to form the ultimate crystallization of what abilities are so that we can understand what abilities in this world even are, which is kind of like, okay, that's cool, world building potentially.
But it also felt like Kingdom Hearts.
It was nonsensical.
Basically. The light that, whatever. And most of the time when they said that in the movie, I didn't even know what the hell they were talking about.
Yeah.
The explanation kind of, sort of, even though it didn't end up making sense, came way later than
the true explanation basically was that Atsushi's ability
is more than just a physical enhancement.
Oh yeah, we always knew that, but not that they gave us that. They gave us an idea of what it was that it was actually the thing that is either the consumer or the disassembler of all abilities, and that his was the thing that brings it all together. Then Atsushi's would be the thing that would break it all apart or consume it or destroy it. And that's interesting because then his ability being a key, that is something that will get to a book which is like, oh, okay, interesting. That
And
there's
apparently
maybe...
it's a blank book, and okay, cool. That has some potential.
Wait, why is
fun.
it a blank book?
They mentioned that it was a blank book.
When?
At the end of the movie, they were like, yes, we'll find that blank. Dostoevsky was like, I'll find that blank book or whatever, which has fun implications, because then it's like, okay, yeah, if, what
the
happens?
blank novel sleeping in this town.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
exactly, yeah.
You're right.
So then all thematic things of aside of we write our own futures and whatnot. That sounds like an interesting mechanical, supernatural
someone
thing
wants
in the
to
world.
rewrite reality, basically.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's, you get the wish spell, right? But
basically.
But even though I'm kind of with you, I didn't really care for the parts where they then had to beat their abilities, because then it's like, why couldn't that have happened way sooner?
Yeah.
And those sorts of things. The element of being chased by the abilities and all that stuff, I loved that. That was really intense. It was a ton of fun.
Kept the energy up.
Yeah, it kept the energy up, right? Because it's like, okay, yeah, we're getting into this. It starts with a spectacle. It's basically spectacle all the way through, and it does it really, really well.
Yeah, the weird thing is that plot also, with regards to Chuuya back then, being something that was used to set up the movie villain. And he's the movie villain when he looks like his final form is something straight out of a Naruto film also as well.
Yeah, no, in my mind, the movie kind of ended when Chuuya defeated the dragon.
Yeah.
Because that was actually dope and hype as hell.
That's such a great twist too, that Chuuya needs to be the one to save us all.
Because
the idea is that Dazai, when he put the pill in him, that was the antidote specifically for the types of poisons that he would expect to maybe be utilized by this thing at the time. And, okay, cool. Dazai is a god and plans all this stuff out perfectly.
How he knew the poison and all that stuff. And
irrelevant,
who cares?
Irrelevant.
Rule of cool.
Yeah.
But that kind of was a way to address the kind of biggest issue in this movie, I feel like. Yeah. Which wasn't even the biggest issue was the movie villain, when clearly Dostoevsky was more like an interesting character,
much more interesting,
foreshadowing him. Why couldn't it have just and
maybe they don't fully beat him,
right? Yeah,
it's
exactly.
just a thing where they defeat his plans.
Yep. And maybe he's still,
in some ways that kind of is what this is,
right? Because he still was using someone else and all of that stuff, and that's kind of cool. But then but the number two thing is, what in my mind is, why was Dazai helping them? Because it's originally set up like it's this whole thing of I want to commit suicide, right? And when he was talking about that, he was alone. So you would think that would be him being honest with himself of why he's doing this, but no, it was actually because he was setting things up, because he knew that Chuuya would need to be the one to defeat the enemy.
Okay,
cool.
Hold on. I think that the idea of Dazai having multiple plans still needs to be brought up.
Oh, yes, right.
He could have just had it all work.
Yeah, if he hadn't been stabbed with a poison dagger, he could have dispelled everything. Yeah, and then he wouldn't have needed it.
Yeah, and I think that was the idea, was he just had a backup in case that didn't work, because Dazai really can't beat his own ability.
Well, right, his ability
is nullification. So,
right, so it wouldn't do anything to him.
Right, but he can't also necessarily beat it easily either.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know, it would have no effect on him. So, if it was given manifest form and there were some points where it's like, okay, the president's ability is a figure wielding a sword, but I thought
that's the thing.
That was just him wielding a sword because he's.
I know, but that's the thing. The reveal was that all those abilities are them. None of the abilities are separate abilities. The abilities are people.
Right, because it's an element of who they are, so it's basically fighting their shadow.
Their shadows, yeah. They weren't
cool.
actually fighting the crystals. They were fighting the actual people themselves.
Oh, and by the way, while I definitely do rag on Mr. Dragon Dude, and I still hate his final form, the idea of the ability singularity of him actually not being a person, but being an ability that continued after his own death because his ability works on dead people. Right. That I love. That's a great way to basically show, because with all the talk of singularities and stuff, you can have that just be ooh, big explosion and that singularity. But this is a more interesting idea of a singularity to me, where you have something where an ability works in such a way that it just breaks some fundamental aspect of reality. Oh, he's dead, but he's not, because he just keeps existing. Right. There you go.
Cool.
Awesome.
And then the epic moment where the protagonist grabs him and rejects his reality and I substitute my own because, I am the ability and I am me and yada, yada, yada.
Wonderful. I am thou and thou art.
Yeah, exactly. It feels special a little bit because Atsushi's kind of repeated tread upon character arc that he's never really made full progress in, especially in these types of conflicts. He kind of gets reset back to the beginning every once in a while, is that he's never truly accepted his ability, but then he does in season 2.
And then there's
season 1.
And there are other people who had trouble accepting their abilities, like, say, Kyoka, for instance, but she didn't have the same problem that Atsushi did of not getting his ability back right away. So while I love the idea of Atsushi having this moment where he then has to, like reflect and figure
accept that he is the tiger.
Right. Sort of Spider-Man.
He did kill those...
Right.
He did kill those people.
Right.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2, be in the burning building and all that stuff, right? But mechanics-wise, within everything, it doesn't make sense. And then, and the amount of time spent on that, when it's clearly just setting things up so that then he can come in at the last moment and be the hero. And then even when he's fighting the dragon guy at the end, he's not able to beat him, but then he's randomly able to beat him when, I thought when they were doing the powers combined thing, it was going to be something of, okay, demon armor on Atsushi like they did with Francis, but then somehow Demon Snow was going to also give him a spirit demon sword or something like that, But it was actually just, we're going to use our abilities to set you up to one-on-one
him and to immobilize him for a little bit.
But that wouldn't actually help you fight him better when you weren't able to beat him before. So,
It's a spectacle. It's a gigantic, flashy show, and that's kind of what I got the most out of this, is that there are a lot of little world-building things that they did that were interesting, and we can kind of go over those here because those ones are actual reveals. One of them being Mori, leader of the Port Mafia.
Oh, yeah.
Elise was his ability.
Yeah.
Elise is his ability.
By the way, thank God that...
Well, that's the thing. In some ways, it had to be, because it was getting to a really weird point where we're like, oh, wait a minute. Well, she's definitely not his daughter.
Right. And
she's definitely not.
And he's a pedo and keeping around what seems like a 12-year-old.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, but it's
an
the
aspect of him.
Right. So it's the manifestation of that, basically, that just follows him around. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And he is a doctor, so there's some connection there with the syringe and whatever.
Sure.
It's irrelevant. But the point is that was a cool reveal specifically for him. And then the idea that Atsushi being someone that we've been having constantly hinted at, the idea that the tiger is something that is beyond a tiger. It's literally not just a physical enhancement.
Right.
And we knew that, but we didn't know what it was then. We just knew it wasn't just this. But
did we, though?
Yeah, of course we did. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. There was lots of people that were in season 2 and stuff, specifically, I think, in the guild, that were bringing the idea of, you have no idea, what you really are. Yeah.
I always figured that was just because it's the Atsushi. You have the, stat-wise, you have the most powerful ability out there, and you don't know how to actually use it. You're not, you don't appreciate what you have.
Yeah, that wasn't the vibe I got at all.
Okay.
There was this very, weird way in which the guild was wanting Atsushi specifically for something that he didn't know his ability could do. And
the whole thing of finding the book or whatever?
Finding the book, yeah, exactly.
I always figured that was just something where it was actually because of his past as being in the orphanage or whatever. That it wasn't
that didn't make sense, because then they would have actually gone for him rather than actually caring about the tiger, actually using his ability. That's why I feel what it is it's not even that they really need him, it's that they need him to do something with his ability.
Okay.
And that will be the key to unlocking the book, which will then would have then given Francis the essentially the wish spell to be I'm going to rewrite reality.
Bring my daughter back.
Yeah, and for this story to have eventually the moment where they go full author within the story, to have someone, I now write everything there, it feels apropos, given that also one of our first abilities we ever saw was Dopo's.
I write things and make it happen. Yeah,
exactly. And so now we have the purest form of that being set up for season 3.
And by the way, while this, I really loved a lot of the moments in this movie. Like a lot of the moments I was like, oh, these are so cool. Like the whole bit with
the
Chuuya,
music,
the music, like the action,
animation.
the opening action sequence was awesome.
It was really good. Yeah.
Like as far, because like, oh, we're starting with an opening action sequence. Okay, cool. That's kind of something that I also sort of expect, you know, because it's a great thing to do in a movie to keep things moving.
That's in an action show.
Yeah, that's in an action show, you know, like there you go, right? But it kept surprising me, right? And the whole thing of the level of like fan fictioniness that we had between Chuuya and Dazai in this movie, with like the yes, you know, Snow White, but I punch you in the face, right? Like that, and the fact that he knew that, and that's why he put it like in his mouth and everything, like, and then of course the oh yes, just stay right here, keeping his head by his groin. Like that's a level of over the top, like just sure, why not, you know, just throw it in there for the sake of the ridiculousness and everything that
everything in here worked for the way that the characters had been introduced prior, you know, for all the characters we knew about basically. And and yet you can very easily tell the areas that were like, hey, y'all are fans of these characters, right? Well, we're going to give you some service so that you know that we care about y'all as fans.
Yep.
Oh my.
Also,
that was wonderful.
Things like Dopo just being like, okay, we're in the facility. Yeah, I don't have my ability, but that's fine. Arsenal of weapons.
Arsenal of guns.
Yeah. It's like
I bump thing with my shoulder. Never used this before ever in the entire show, when I really actually could have used to just bring myself like what? A massive shotgun, you know?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Hell yeah. Like it's you know,
and we'll never see that closet of weapons used again.
But who cares? Because rule of cool. Because I feel like this show, or this series rather, since this is a movie, you know, and all
right,
that. But, is at its best when it embraces that rule of cool without trying to actually explain things.
Be smart about
because
it.
Because when it ends up trying to explain things, it oftentimes is not satisfying for me. But two, it slows things down and distracts from the rule of cool.
Too much,
right? And when it's going at that clip pace and just keeps hitting you with the hype and the music and the action and all that, it works really well.
That's when you get Chuuya picking up a skyscraper
and
bodying a head of a gigantic spectral dragon,
and then shoving it into the dragon's mouth as it's about to do its
breath attack, basically
nuclear breath or whatever, right? To make it explode. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Why is Dazai still in the dragon? Why is he who cares, right?
Yeah.
You know, like why would the antidote work on a general poison when the poison has already had time to who cares, right?
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
But then, you know, spending time with forehead dick guy after, you know, is less exciting than Colossal Dragon.
Yeah,
you know.
we had to have the young main characters all have their little fight there.
And the other two just basically be there to service to prop up the main character, even in ways that don't necessarily make sense. And then like have the main dude have that one part where he has to like save the main girl, even though she's totally there. She can help out too. But oh yeah, thank you. Because without you, I'd totally be dead.
I'd be paced. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But
it's good fun. It's good fun.
And the mystery at the beginning was awesome.
Yeah, the idea of it being something that we really didn't understand, and yet how quickly things went to shit was kind of cool. I do think that the general thing I could say about this movie was it started off really strong and it just kind of slowly dropped over time.
And that's
okay.
And that's kind of why I was hoping that like the dramatic finish with the dragon would be kind of like the end of it, because it was like it was so hype.
Yeah, it was
right
so
there.
Good, yeah.
But yeah.
But either way, season 3 next, which means that
we'll probably be getting more Dostoevsky.
Fyodor Dostoevsky, Crime and Punishment.
Cool.
I am curious a little bit now because we didn't truly, I think, get to see exactly how his abilities work.
And that was something that also confused me. I was like, how much of this is the two guys' abilities like working in conjunction with each other versus like a specific just how this one guy's ability works, right?
Well, yeah, there was also the idea that a lot of the times the abilities weren't actually from either of them. It was from any of them. It was from the crystals themselves that had been gathered over time. So
yeah.
Okay. But as a villain, Russian Lelouch looks pretty awesome.
He does.
And also the idea that Dazai and him had that moment where we're like, hey, we're going to team up for a little bit. But that's because I'm so, in some ways, terrified of you.
Sure.
That I need to be closer than ever to like get into this.
Right.
And even though it didn't work, really, the fact that for a time, Dostoevsky and Dazai had an up on our movie villain, basically, was kind of cool. So
I think I'm going to call him
maybe
in the past King
more
Dragon.
teaser stuff about their past together, because I really feel like that's the thing that this movie maybe needed. Was I needed more establishment for Dostoevsky.
Yes.
And then by extension, you can do some really cool stuff with him and Dazai.
Right. Because you could tell that Dostoevsky is like, he's super important. Like,
he's a really big deal.
Really big deal.
Yeah.
But while this could be considered his introduction in the series, kind of, even though
we had a teaser.
We had a teaser with him before,
previous,
but we had a lot of screen time with him, and yet I still have no idea who he is.
Yeah.
Like
I know his writing.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I don't know the character in this
Right,
series.
Exactly. So what this could be is that this is the flashy entrance to a huge character in season 3 that we're then going to get a ton of characterization on.
Right, and if season 3 is...
And it just builds the enigmatic aura about him,
Yeah, and given that since this happened, we probably won't need to have the Otosaku kind of equivalent arc, right? Because this kind of sort of was that, which means
not really. No.
Well, okay,
no, this was not the equivalent of that at all. I would say if anything, instead of doing something similar to that, all they need to do is just have Dazai be, he always is, but kind of a premier focus character, and have him interacting with anyone in the main cast like Atsushi, and be like, hey, yeah, Dostoevsky is a problem. That whole incident with Yokohama, that's just an iteration of his plans and stuff.
Right.
We need to be on the lookout for him doing something like that again, but maybe being a little bit more subtle.
Sure.
So Atsushi, like you realize he's going to be coming for you, like again, right? It's like, yeah. It's like we've had the Guild trying to come after you. Now we have Dostoevsky trying to come after you. There could be some really cool stuff there.
But yeah, what I was more meaning is that because season 3 will have a full season for it, because for dealing with Dostoevsky and whoever's with him and all that stuff,
right?
We could get a lot more time for those quieter moments to get introduced to his character, get to know who he is, and things like that.
Yeah, that's why I was saying that this wasn't the Otosaku equivalent, because that gave us hard characterization on a bunch of new characters. I'm saying that we could still get something similar to that in the next season, but have it be more kind of like a just throughout the season kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Because the Otosaku stuff was really good. Didn't have as much relation to the guild conflict in the later half.
No, it was framework for the Port Mafia basically, and
Dazai.
Dazai,
yep,
right.
which was great.
Yeah. So I'm saying we should get something like that for Dostoevsky and Dazai again, but have to be more spread out, basically.
Exactly.
Throughout that. But yeah. Okay. That's the movie. Thank you all so much for watching the reaction and discussion. If you want to see the first episode's reaction and discussion to Bungo Stray Dogs Season 3, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. Any level support there gets you access to our Discord, where you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general. Also, should check out there, so if you want to see a full-length timer version of this reaction, there's that as well. And also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.